So the big question is this. How do you take $42,000 in assets in a one-trackman bay facility in the back of a CrossFit gym and turn it into a 12-bay, 17,000 square foot training facility in just a few years? That's the question, and this is the podcast that's going to give you the answer. Welcome to Inside the Room on Stock Shot Secrets. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Stock Shot Secrets Inside the Room. And what's great about Inside the Room is I think there's two people in Ohio that are from England, and two of them work for the golf room. So today I welcome the second Englishman of the group with Pete Darke. Thank you so much, Pete, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're going on with being at TGR. We're recording this in January of 2024, which is crazy. There should be flying cars by now, according to the Jetsons, but there's not. So we're going on is this year two? Year two, right?
About, yep.
So what about the story like before TGR? BC, TGR, before it, right? Like, where did the story start? So you're from England. Where in England? We'll kind of start there.
So I'm from the southwest of England.
Gotcha. Who's your football team? I guess you'd say football team.
Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Arsenal is my team.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
And I grew up playing quite a lot of soccer as well in England. But
that was your main sport growing up?
Soccer was my main sport, and then music was the side.
Got it.
Hustle with that.
Yes.
Growing up.
Awesome. Okay. So you're from England, from Arsenal fan, playing music, playing soccer.
Yep.
And then what happens from there?
So my golf journey. So I started out. I played junior golf, but it wasn't my main thing. Okay, so I started out doing that, and then my goal as a junior was actually to become a professional drummer. So I spent a lot of hours practicing, and I'm a big believer in practice, or owning my craft of becoming a drummer.
Yeah.
So I went to school for music, and then after college, I actually became a professional drummer.
Did you go to school here in the States?
I did not. That was in Brighton,
Gotcha.
in England, which was a fun time.
Yeah, and it was all music.
Music was the
focus.
Was the focus growing up.
Yeah.
So after college, I actually became a professional drummer, and I started working on cruise ships.
Nice.
So that was a fun way to travel the world and become.
What cruise line?
The main line was Holland America.
Oh, nice. And where were you traveling?
Basically
mostly
everywhere.
Really?
Yeah. Started out, first ship came out in San Diego, did the Caribbean, and then Alaska, and then Australia.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
Where was what was some of your what were your three favorite places to go? We're looking at spring break right now, so I'm taking notes.
I definitely enjoyed. We did have a lot of time at Cabo.
Yeah.
If you're looking at spring break, that kind of Cabo, Mexico. I really enjoyed Australia. So
Really?
like Sydney, Australia was a fun place to go to.
What was so amazing about it?
It was just there was tons to do. Like it was like good weather. It was exciting. Good food.
Beach is good?
Beaches were good. Yeah, good surf and stuff around there. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're playing on cruise lines, playing drums, right?
Yep.
How long you doing this?
So I did this for about 4 years.
Gotcha. So that takes you what? You're in your young 20s?
Young 20s, yeah.
Young 20s. So then you're playing drums and go, I think I want to teach golfer. How'd this go?
So during the time working on cruise ships, I met my now wife, Lizzie.
She's a guest.
She was a dancer. It would be cooler if she was a guest, right? Because that was kind of taboo. But she was a dancer on the shows. So she's like flaunting herself.
Which is amazing, by the way, not to cut you off, but like when you go, like we went on Disney cruises, it's like there's so many married couples on these cruises, and they go and you're like, so tell us about, they're like, yeah, my husband's the manager in the restaurant down there. And you're like, oh my gosh. And they're like, yeah, we have 2 kids. And we're like, what? And they're like, yeah, we'll see them in 12 weeks. It's like, who's watching your kids? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's incredible that people have kids and they're working on
I know.
ships.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry.
So
she's a dancer on the cruise ship.
She's a dancer. So we did that for about 4 years. Working on a cruise ship, like everything is expedited. So we're together for 4 years, but it's really like 20 years because you see each other every day.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she's from America. I came over in about 2013 is when I came over to the States.
Yeah.
Ended up staying here, got married.
Still working for the cruise, like come here to live here and be close to her?
I kind of finished the cruise at that point.
Okay.
So it was a time where I was like, I just spent so much time practicing, playing drums. I was kind of like, my goals had shifted. I didn't want to go down that route anymore. Yeah. So came over, and then her father-in-law at the time was a very good golfer. I probably hadn't swung a golf club for maybe like 7 years at this time because I've been on ships, music, all that stuff. So we go play, and he beats me.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
No.
That's not going to work out for Thanksgiving.
That's not good. So he beats me. I'm super competitive. And then it's like, okay, my obsession for golf just kickstarted again.
Yeah.
Like it just sparked. And then everything is golf in my life.
Yeah.
So then that's where I kind of.
So your journey of learning how to teach golf started by your own passion of not wanting to learn or not wanting to get beat by your father-in-law.
100%.
And then you get obsessed with it and you go, oh my gosh, I gotta spread the good news.
Yes. That was essentially my story.
That's amazing. So then that's 2013. So when did you get into teaching golf?
So I was actually, I was working at Apple. I used to fix iPhones at Apple, and I met a coach for a program called TGA, which does junior programs in Michigan. And I started teaching the junior classes at the TGA, and I just loved it. So I wanted to get more involved with teaching. So that's where I first started going down the teaching route, and then I went down US Kids Golf, TPI, just learning all my craft.
Yeah.
During that time, my lovely wife gets me a golf lesson at Golf Tech.
Nice.
So I started doing that, and I was just getting much better at the game very quickly.
Yeah.
And then an opening came up at that Golf Tech, and my coach was like, hey, you'd be a great fit. And they knew that I wanted to be a full-time coach, spread my knowledge. And then I started working at Golf Tech.
That's amazing.
That's where I started my teaching full-time career.
Yep. And then Pete stumbles into the TGR ecosystem by us wanting to have in the need for more remote coaches, right? Because people can essentially go into Stock Shot Club now. They can submit videos. You guys can try it for 30 days for free if you guys want, if you go to stockshotclub.com. But anyways, so you kind of start there. You start going through the TGR training at Golf Tech.
Yep.
Right? Because I'm kind of hiring to try to want some more stuff. And the lessons you were giving there, basically some of the test lessons and all the training and all this stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's, especially asking our master coach, Alex, I was like, who's got it? He's like, this Pete guy is like, he's the shit. Yep. Right. So I reach out to you. You join TGR. What was it about TGR that says like, because it's different, right? Like there's a holistic thing. And like, what was it that kind of struck a chord with saying, hey, like taking my wife, we're moving from Michigan. You're coming with me.
I was just a huge fan of your work and Mike Bender's as well. And I was just like, okay, this is like the guy that I've been kind of idolizing for the last few years, and he's reaching out. And I wanted to be more of a part of that culture. And I used to watch the like Instagram stories, seeing the gym work that we were doing, like Lindsay was doing. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's the place to be. Like they've got everything that we want to be. So that's where I wanted to come down.
And you're also, so you're helping Mac a little bit with, or not a little bit, but you're helping Mac. You're in the Futures program with him, with the kids. You've got a young one now, right? How old's he now?
He's 5.
5, right? Oh, 5.
Good age.
Yes. That's when they're starting to come out, and you can start throwing them around.
Yeah.
and wrestling with them. So you're in the Futures. What is it about the Futures program that like really strikes a chord with you of like, this is where I feel called? Because you went to go get US Kids certified to be coaching for kids. So that's a spot that you really, really like.
Yeah, I mean, there's just something about being able to like foster a kid's relationship with the game, like, and being able to like inspire them to love the game of golf is what like strikes a chord with me. So being able to see a kid have fun, like be competitive and like start to play and want to be better at the game is where I'm like, okay, this is amazing. And
I think what you and Mac are doing in regards to the Futures program, it's so different than I feel like anywhere else. You know, I was saying it to Mac when he was on, that it's just, you guys are doing things, but it's not even, you guys are like very intentional in regards to making it super fun. As he says, you got their attention for 5 minutes. So you got 5-minute stations. And there's tons of golf that they're learning, right? I always say to the parents, they go, what's the point of the Futures? I go, so that when you ask your kid to play golf on Sunday, they say yes, right? Because they're like 5 or 6 years old. But there's so many things that you guys are doing in regards to teaching them the athleticism and like, you know, if they're doing sumo wrestling or one leg jumps through hula hoops and all that stuff, and they're thinking it's just super fun, like my girls are in it, but I'm sitting there as the golf nerd. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're working on their vertical force. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Right. So what about the elements of the drums, right? So you're playing drums for 4 years on a cruise ship, right? I guess the first question I'm going to pose to you, because that was like your previous life. What do you find as the similarities between learning to play drums and learning to play golf? And how do you kind of take some of those lessons that you learned? Because in some sense, what's so cool about you as a coach is that when you're teaching your players, you're like, I was literally you. Yep. I'm just on the other side now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I've been in your shoes, and I was just a guy who got my brains beat in by my father-in-law, and then I became obsessed, and then I studied a lot, and now I'm here teaching it. But, like, what is it about the drums and that whole journey with also then teaching, like, you know, how do those connect to you? Those two worlds connect?
So I think because I spent so many hours practicing drums and learning patterns, like, I'm able to see when a student's grasping it and able to, like, apply that concept and actually get better. So like the way you practice in music is where I try to translate into a golf coach. So like, for example, like I think the big thing with music is if you are like learning a new pattern, like you're learning a paradiddle. So you're like going right, left, right, left, left, new pattern.
Yep.
The golfer would say, okay, there's a new pattern. This is my sway, and I'm just not going to sway, I'm going to turn. The golfer goes, great. Like if they're learning the pattern, instead of going right, left, right, left, they're going to try and go straight away, fast as hell.
Yeah.
So the golfer like just goes full speed straight away.
Right.
Music, it's like, no, I'm going to go right, left, left, and just go slowly better. So my eye kind of sees.
So you would play the same, because I learned this about a year or two ago. You would play the same rhythm, left, right, but you would play it at a speed of left, right. Well, you want to go left, right. Whereas the golfer, you're saying, goes and they go, got it. And now I'm just going to play the straight AC/DC song first time playing, and I should do this right away.
And they go, why didn't I do it? Like straight, and you're like, well, you got to practice.
Is that a serious question?
Yeah,
right.
So, but I just don't. I think in golf, a lot of like golfers don't have that connection that it like takes time. And you have to layer up the speed that you practice.
Hey guys, I hope you are enjoying this episode of the Stock Shot Secrets podcast. If you are enjoying it, be sure to like this episode. Be sure to subscribe so you can always see when they're coming out. And most importantly, if you would be so kind to be able to share this podcast with other passionate golfers who are trying to get better and build stock shots, because it grows through you sharing it. Thank you so much for tuning in. And now back to Stock Shot Secrets. 100%.
So that's probably the biggest thing I take from my music background of like, you got to get that at a certain speed and then practice it at that speed and layer up.
Yes.
Till you can get there.
So you kind of, it's almost, and you also like learn it in chunks, and then you chunking, as Tony Robbins would say, you chunk it. So you chunk it, and then over the time, once you've started to chunk it, then you still have the idea of what the song sounds like.
Yep.
Right? Like as a golf swing, usually like for me on the lesson tee, I will teach them the whole swing. Yep. So that they understand what the song, how it sounds from the first minute to the 3 minute 30 mark.
Yep.
So this is what it sounds like, but we are going to teach like the first part of the song, which would be your alignment, grip, tilts, and then maybe we go to the second one or third one, I guess would be banner 3 of tilt, turn, and hinge, and you're kind of chunking it. And you're doing the same thing, but when you're chunking it, you just have to go slow enough to where you're actually playing the song. Otherwise, the song sounds terrible.
Yeah. It doesn't sound recognizable.
Right. So, and what about, did you feel like you have in regards of tempo, right? So that's a little bit in the rhythm. Like, what do you see? Because tempo, if you're playing drums and you're playing in a different tempo than what Liz is singing at, once again, if she does sing her, or what she's dancing at, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to work out. So what about tempo in regards to the golf swing?
I think it's super key to well, lots of different areas, but like, for example, putting, having people to be able to get, we'll say this, it's amazing. We had this with the juniors the other day. We were doing the tempo and motion where we're clapping with the beat.
Yep.
Some people can't even like hear that tempo without even doing it to a golf swing.
Yeah.
So then you're trying to teach it in the golf swing.
Like chewing gum and walking.
And they can't do it. So it's like, it's too much. So I think it helps to be able to layer it down and be able to like hear that and be able to like clap, like ready, set, go.
So you took it back and you took it with them. You go, hey, actually, we're just going to clap.
We clapped.
Yeah,
and we couldn't clap on time for a while.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I'm now expecting you to do it with a putter, and you can't do it here. So like getting that concept to do it that way then allows a student to be able to play with their timing. And then the tempo, obviously, like bad shots are normally down to your bad timing.
Yeah, so like when I was playing, like, so my swing thought, so my lowest score I've ever shot is 60. Yep. This is a course called Sunridge Canyon in Phoenix, Arizona. And with a metronome, right, there's essentially a lot of different ways to do it, but there's a 4 count, right, where like number 1, you're looking at the flag, 2, you're looking at the ball, back, you take it back on 3, and you hit on 4.
Yep.
Right? So to the point of the tempo stuff, when players are playing, the tempo gets off, just like drums, right? Like you probably never forget the rhythm, but sometimes maybe like the drum tempo, you're like, I'm playing like a little too fast. I gotta slow down a little bit.
Notes kick in.
Or like you're speaking, right? Like you never forget how to speak. It's just sometimes like, bro, you just got to chill your tempo down a little bit, right? I have a tendency to talk too fast. So But when I was playing in shot 60, it was my only thought that day was a 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that for me on the instruction side, like tempo is the thing that allow it's like the water to the cracks and smooths out the clay. Like it maximizes your skill for what you have.
Yep.
Now you might not, if you have perfect, let's just say you look at a student, you go, hey, you should shoot 81, right? The tempo being managed allows them to shoot 81.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to shoot 75 because they need to increase their skill, but it makes them not shoot 87.
Yeah. 100%.
So, what about like, you know, how do you see the fitness element inside the lesson tee, right?
So I think with the fitness, I think you got, because of the TPI background for myself, I think students have their own choice about what they want to achieve. But if they want to achieve their goals, they're going to have to incorporate some fitness. Yeah. Like, it's kind of like you got a car and you want the car to go faster, you're going to have to put some, like, upgrade your engine to get that speed. Yeah. If you don't want to put the time in to get better, and like, that's okay, but you're probably going to be like plateaued at a certain point. So it's got to go side by side with, if you want to get better and like increase your level, your car's engine's probably going to have to get better, going to get better steering, stuff like that.
It's amazing if you look at players who are like looking at YouTube tips and they're like, well, this guy's got like 2 butt cheeks behind the thing and it's like fully open. It's like, right, the dude's like 22 and basically runs like, probably could run like a 4.740, 4.540, right? Yeah. So it's like you're 56 and
not happening.
It's not, that's not happening, right? Doesn't mean we can't strive for that though, right? Like we can't strive to make the engine faster, and we should do, because it's only going to get, unfortunately, Adam and Eve ate the fruit, so it's only going to get slower, right? But I think that there's some points of, you hit it exactly. I think when you see players that are like flipping it or like they stall, like so many people are like, oh, my hips stall after the ball. It's like, yeah, man, it's just like you got internal hip rotation on your left side. It's too tight. And like, you just can't turn that fast because your core, you know? Yeah. So there's that whole piece. What about your role of like technology and what you're using? Because obviously TGR's got like
everything,
right? So how are you using technology inside your lesson tee?
So I think,
and how's that changed, right? Because it's kind of been it's morphed over even since you started teaching in 2016 or whatever.
Yeah, given backstory, I think for my journey with technology, so when I started at Golf Tech, everything was 3D motion measurements. Yeah. And as a starting out coaching, I probably relied too much on numbers. So my teaching eye was less about seeing those. It was like going by the numbers. Yeah. Then when COVID hit and it kind of took away those, like the ability to get strapped in, I had to teach without that stuff, and I felt naked. It was like, oh, I can't see their hip turn.
What's their sway number?
Where are we at? So then I had to learn again. Now it's kind of come back full circle with like Sportsbox AI, where we can actually measure again, but now my knowledge is, I'm not relying on it. It's more like I'm measuring it. Guessing. Well, not guessing, but measuring it and then just validating what changes we're making.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on the motion, that's probably a big one.
What about as a instructor, right? And you've got all your students are doing amazing and they're getting so much better. What do you find as some of the, like if someone's getting ready to sign on with Pete, right? Like they got a new student assessment. They're like, yeah, you're going to go with Pete. Like it's going to be amazing. He's British. It's amazing to listen to him, right? Like what would be a piece of advice of a guy walking onto the lesson tee, getting ready to start with you, and you go, hey, like this is, if there's one piece of knowledge you would say, I hope that you can understand this as we get started, what would that be?
Being aware of the journey and learning to enjoy the process of getting better. So like you've got your banners, you've got your modules, you're going through this journey. I think for any student to get better, they got to enjoy the process of getting better. So like having a practice plan, like be involved with like practice is fun. It gets you better, not just going to play. So like being able to know where you're at in your journey and then follow your practice plan would be the big piece. And slow down when you practice. Like don't do your paradiddles at 200 beats per minute. Like slow them down. And like,
you're not playing AC/DC in a day.
Not today.
Right.
No.
But you will.
Maybe.
Yeah. So what about, and then the last kind of question is like in regards to your, in regards to the students that have come in that have had a lot of success, right? Your students that did it. What are some of, have you ever thought or seen like any commonalities between what those students are doing and maybe the players that aren't seem to really get it? Like what is it that they're doing in their journey that's like, hey, this is, I'm not reinventing, I'm just telling you this is what they do and it works.
I just recently watched Ted Lasso and practice. We're talking practice, man. Practice how you practice. That's like
how you practice.
Like breaking it down, programming block, random compete, following your plan. Don't just go to the simulator and hit golf balls, hit just the one shot. And and think you're going to get better. So like break it down, be diligent in your process of practicing to get better. And then equally like making sure as you get, depending on the player, like making sure that you're practicing and playing and balancing. Are you playing too much? Are you practicing too much? Like,
yep.
To make sure
I think that there was a balance that Pete and I were talking about is that you have like with your programming is using mirrors, using lasers, going through the swing super slow motion, right? Like 3 swings, it might take you 30 seconds per swing. You're doing it at like super, super slow. Then you got block practice, which is we don't care about where the ball goes. All we care about is how the swing looks, and we're using feedback. If we can't seem to put our body in that position, we are forcing the pattern with feedback. Then we kind of go into random, which is like our different shots, full routine, different yardages, kind of bridging the two. And then compete is like we almost don't care where it looks like, just make the stinking ball go in the hole. But I think that for all the players, you're either really good at programming and block, i.e. myself, or really good at randomizing and competing, right? And it's kind of our jobs as mentors to disciple them and work through that to say, hey, like, you're really good at the random and competing. You play a lot, and that's amazing. You're a really good player, but we need to raise your skills, so let's go over here. Right? And we try to use a little bit more programming and block. And then you got the guy who's like, man, you were like a great range rat. You hit it great on the range, but man, on the course, you suck. Right? And that guy needs to get probably more into the random and compete. And it's just knowing and kind of us seeing the player and saying, reading between the lines, talking to him, because I go really close to my players. I know you do as well, of just, hey, where are you and what you need to do. But
yeah, I think that goes back to my music. Like, it's the person that just learns scales and they can like noodle, but they can't play a song.
Right.
Like, do both.
Right.
Yeah, that's big.
So, well, Pete, thanks so much, man. This has been amazing. I love you being a part of TGR. It's an amazing story that your cruise and playing the drums. And if anybody wants to obviously come see you, they can come down to TGR, booking a lesson with you, and they can have the real thing and listen to the real accent live and in person. So thanks so much, buddy, for being on Stock Shot Secrets.
Thank you, Kyle.
Hey, guys, thank you so much for listening to the latest episode of Stock Shot Secrets. Now, as a listener of Stock Shot Secrets, I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to get better. So if you were to go to stockshotclub.com, I'm going to give you 7 days free access where you can send us your video and we will give you personalized individual attention as to what you need to do so that you can start building stock shots. So just go to stockshotclub.com and register there. We'll give you 7 days free where you can try it. And then if we like it, you can stay inside the Stock Shot Club where we can become your coach and walk with you for your entire journey. Thank you so much. And be sure to go visit stockshotclub.com.